This is topic 4 of the introduction to Python. And in this topic, we have two subtopics. The first one is string manipulation, and the second one is for loops. So a little bit of revision before we look at these subtopics for part 4. Python has some different data types, and that's how Python treats particular data that's saved in its memory. So for example, we have numeric types like integers and floats. Floats just numbers with decimal points in them. We have text types, strings that are enclosed in quotes, and we have Boolean types that are either true or false. So if you want to follow along with the examples today, that's absolutely fine. So the first topic, string manipulation. When we actually save something as a string, so let me go over to Python and create a string now. So let's call this my great string. Okay, and we're going to assign to my great string the value of hello everyone. Okay, so let's just press return to save that. And now if we run the print function on my great string, Python should return the value that we've assigned. So let's just run my great string, and there we go. We're coming back with hello everyone saved. Okay, now we can actually check the type of this, okay, by running we can actually check the type of this by running print, okay, and then open the brackets for print, and then type, and then open the brackets for type, and put the object we want the type of in there. So let's put my great string. Okay, and there we go. Class string. All right, so my great string, class string. Now, let's say we want to get into this string and do some, as the title says, string manipulation. Okay, let's say we want to do some string manipulation. We need to understand that strings have an index number. Okay, so let's say we had a string such as this one shown here, Edinburgh call. All right, we can actually access different characters in that string using an index number. So for example, if we wanted to get the first character out, we could run my string and just put a 0 there because the indexing starts at 0. So let's have a look at an example of me doing this just now on my great string here. So my great string, if we were to just put square brackets in here and put a 0 and run it, that would give us H, because H is the first character there. Okay, now if we were to run this again and change the 0 to a 1, you can probably guess that we're now accessing this character. So that should print out the letter E, and there it is there. So let's have a look at a kind of table that I've created here, which shows the index. All right, so 0 is where it starts, and that's the first character. 1 is the second, 2 is the third, 3 is the fourth, and so on. So what would print out the fourth character? It would be square brackets and then the number 3, because we start at 0. So the fifth character would be square brackets and number 4. The last character, okay, now we could do the last character, we could do square brackets and give the index number of this, okay, or what we could do is, and I'll show you a little trick here, is we could use something called the negative index. So there's how we get the characters out. This negative index here, -1, is actually 1 from the end. So as well as, if you can imagine, this 0 is the first position. Okay, if you imagine if we go down 1 from 0 this way, Okay, what that actually does is jumps us all the way to the end. And this is actually, as well as being called 11, is called -1. And this one's called -2, -3, -4, and so on. Difficult to draw with a mouse, but you get the idea. So let's just go back to migrate string 1. If we wanted to grab the last character, okay, we would just run -1 in here, -1, and that gives us the E here. Okay, now we can get the second last character, all right, just by putting -2. Okay, N in everyone. All right, so let's say we want to get N characters out, a number of characters, okay, N just being a value. We can get the first 3 characters by putting 0:3. Okay, so let's have a look at that, an example. Okay, print migrate string 0:3 should give us HEL. There we go, the start of the string. Hello, everyone. Now, there's a little bit of shorthand, a little bit of a trick we can do. And if we were to put into Python, for example, take away the 0 and just put 3, okay, we get this, sorry, :3, I meant, let's put the colon in here. We should get the same as we'll get 0:3, okay? Because if we don't put anything there, Python will just accept that there's a 0 there. It'll understand what we mean. Okay, so it's a little bit of shorthand. This range down here, 4 to 8, we can run. So let's do 4 to 8, and that gives us, including the space. Remember, the space is counted as a character in the string as well. So that's just a little bit of background on some string manipulation and some things that we can do. So the next topic we're going to look at is called for loops. Okay, for loops. Now, a for loop is what we use when we have a number of things and we know what that number is. Okay, so a for loop's used for iterating over a sequence. When you have a collection of data, you can perform some action for every item in that collection. Okay, so let's say we have 10 things and it's called my things. We can say for item and my things, do something. And the computer, Python, will understand that we mean for each one of these, do this action. Okay, and this is a very, very useful thing to understand. So got a little bit of a flowchart. We have start. The initialization here would be for my stuff, for my list, and then a condition. We're going to say, do something, and then count and keep going until you've done it to them all, and then stop. Okay, so I've got a little diagram that I created over here with some red arrows. So different from not the red arrows, just some red arrows. So let's say we use for and in keywords here. So we've defined a string called myString, and in there we've put the characters Edinburgh College. Now, what we're going to do with Edinburgh College, okay, is we're going to say for this for keyword. And what that's actually saying is for every single one of these characters here, for each one, okay, characters is a variable that we're going to use inside the body of this for loop, okay? In just means inside my string, and my string is obviously this variable here. So what we're saying is for all the characters in my string, print characters. Okay, and what that will look like is that will actually look something like this. So it's going to print each one out on a new line running down like that. So let's have a little bit of an example. Let me create a for loop now and show you what this looks like. So let's say we have a variable called migrateString. Okay, and we're going to put into migrateString the word hello, everyone. Okay, now we're going to start a for loop. I'll just move this down so you can see the for loop up here. So we use for, and now we're going to introduce a new variable, and this is a special variable for the for loop. So it doesn't have to be characters, it can be anything. I'm going to use the word item. We could use the word elephant. We could use anything here, okay? So for item in, and we're going to say item in what? What item where? So for item in migrate string is what we want. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is put a colon. Okay, and this colon character tells Python that we're about to tell it what to do with each item, okay, with every single item in migrate string. Do what? So we press return, we'll see Python gives us indentation here, which means we're about to say something. So let's do print, okay, item, and let's run this. Save and run. So let's save it as for loop. Okay, there we go. So move that over to the side there. It's printed out every single character. All right, now the for loop will run until it runs out of characters to print. So back with my example here, the for loop will just keep running until it's printed out every single character. So now let's look at what if we wanted to add some kind of a condition into our for loop. How would we do that? So let's go back to here. Here we have a second variable we've introduced called vowels. Okay, and what we're doing is we're doing for characters in my string, and then we're going to add a conditional here with the keyword if. It's a keyword in Python. Idle's highlighting it in orange there. For characters and vowels, and then we do a colon again because we're about to say, you know, what if what, print them. So what we're saying is for characters, so for each individual character inside my string, test that character, and if that character is in this vowel string, if it appears here, print it out. Okay, so let me run another similar example on migrate string here. We're going to create another variable called special letters. Okay, and we're going to say that those special letters are, let's say, E and O. Seem to be a few of those. Now let's add a condition underneath for. So at the moment it's going to go through every single one and print them out, but we want to say, I only want you to print the special letters. So let's do if, okay, and I'll move this over so you can see the example here. See how we adapt it. If, right, item is in special letters, okay, print item. Now let's run that and see what happens. Now it's important as well to note that I've indented the print in underneath this if statement. Okay, so this if statement is indented inside the body of this for loop, and this print statement is indented inside the body of this conditional. So let's run that, see what happens. Okay, now it's only printing out the letters E and O, and we can actually say to it, you know, do something else like print I found special character. Okay, let's just put a comma there and run this. Okay, and it's going to say I found a special character for each one in the loop there. All right, so let's look at the next example here. So what we have is this running, and that's very similar to what I showed you there. Now, one other thing to note is, okay, looking at this code here, is this variable, okay, doesn't really matter what name it is, okay? So, for example, I could make that anything. That could be for elephant. Okay, now, as long as this is elephant and this is elephant, this will still work. So let's run it. Okay, working fine. All right, now let's change something. Let's change one of the other variables and see what the output is. So let's just move this over to the side so we can run them both at the same time. So run that. Okay, working fine. Let's change special letters to special letter. Run. And there we go, we got an error because special letter is not defined. Let's change this to special letter and run it. That's working now. Migrate string 1. Let's try that. That's not going to work because there's no such thing. It's not defined. It's called migrate string. Okay, so this just shows that we just have to be consistent with the variable names throughout. And what's really good if you're writing Python code is as you work your way through a for loop in sequence, it's very handy to just put little print statements in throughout. Now, what we could do is, let's say we were going to use this, change it back to something sensible. Let's change it back to item, okay? Let's say we're going to use this item somewhere else and we just want to check. Okay, what we can do is now we can just put a pound sign there and just comment this out, and we can move on with the rest of our code down here. And let's say we need to just check what's in there later on, we can just uncomment it there. So that is the end of topic 4. We've looked at for loops and we've looked at some string manipulation. So let's look at the tasks for week 4. So make sure that we've completed the uploads for weeks 1 to 3. Try and write some of your for loops. Try and make a for loop that will only print out consonants or some specific pattern of letters. And the homework for this week, we've got problem set 4, and also we've got some reading on the Moodle page. So if I just head over to the Moodle page now, I should be able to show you what we have this week. Let's have a look. Okay, so this week we should, let me just move this over to here. Okay, so this week we should complete and upload problem set 4 and read chapter 3.1.2 in the Cisco Introduction to Python NetAcad course. Okay, now let's have a look at problem set 4. So problem set 4, based on what we've been doing today, you should be able to do this no problem. Can you print out the first character of the string myString1? So here's myString1. Can we get the first character out down here? First character equals what? We need to put something here and then run it. Likewise with question 2, can we get the third character here? Likewise, can we get the fourth character for question 3? And can we get the last character? Okay, you can use a negative or a positive index for that. Questions 5 and 6 are a little bit different. So number 5, we should write a for loop that will print out all the characters in myString4, one character at a time. And finally, question 6, write a for loop that will print out all the characters in myString4 that are not the letter E or the letter A. And that is problem set 4. So complete problem set 4, do the reading on the NetAcad course, get them uploaded, and we'll be back next week to do topic 5. I'll stop the recording now and just see if anyone's got any questions.